copying, object referencing. I told you what are objects with the different syntax like literal syntax. Yeah, and we saw how we can use actually objects. We solved few problems in the last class, right? So through which we understood what are objects versus primitives. Okay, so next, moving on. So we have important concepts to understand in terms of methods of primitives. Yeah, so we have understood about objects. So the next we have got you know the data types, meaning we already know these data types. So we know that in JavaScript we have got 7 data types which are primitive, and we are other than that we have got what is called as reference types or object types. So far I've only taught you what are uh, you know those primitives, how is a number, what exactly is a string, what is a boolean, undefined, null. So today let's understand a bit more into primitives. We'll also see how we can actually use lot of built-in methods which exist. For example, I'm working with string, I need some methods. For example, to uppercase, to lowercase, substring, slice, split. So like that, there are a lot of methods actually that we need if at all we have to work with strings. It's not that I'll just read the string and then I'll simply do a echo or a print and then I'll console log, that will be done. No, we have to deal with strings, right? See, after all, programming we are using to solve real world problems. In real world, we see a lot of scenarios. Yeah. So user might enter first name and last name. You might have to concatenate that string. How? User might enter his input or a name which is less than 5 characters. Or he might enter. I'll ask him enter a name. You will put 1 character. How do you say this is you know a valid name? Or how do you tell him that okay, it's not sufficient length? So for all that you need to know properties and methods. So in JavaScript we use heavily primitives along with the objects. But now today let's understand some more concepts of these primitives. It could be numeric, string, and then I think we'll deal with one reference type which is called array. So more than understanding these basic primitives, we'll understand the different methods. I'll tell you there are so many methods. I'll give an introduction to each of those methods. I'll tell you what is the syntax of those methods, and yeah, I'll tell you how, like okay how to refer more syntax whenever you need to use those method, where to check, how to use the method, what exactly you have to remember. Yeah. So we already know what is a function, correct? We know a function. We have written a lot of functions. We know in JavaScript there are three different types of function, but in terms of usage and all we have even more than that. Yeah. So an arrow function, a normal function declaration, uh, yeah, and a function expression syntax. Also told you there is a callback function. There's an anonymous function, yeah, which is called callback, that we pass directly to the function. Okay, so this is fine, but what is actually a method? Function is fine, but what is a method? So at the end, when we were discussing about objects, we also saw an example that it is possible in a given object, more than the storing of primitives, right? Something like more than storing a primitive, it is also possible to add our own functions, correct? So let's say print. I can add on a JavaScript function which does the printing work. Can introduce a function like this, correct? And that too within an object. So such a property which actually holds a function, okay, is not called as a function, but rather it is named In all the OOPS languages or all the languages wherever you see this, they call it with a special name called method. Yeah, so we call it a method. We don't call it function, though it's a function. But then there is, a difference. Okay, there's a slight difference between what is a method and a normal function. So this method has or the method which is there in an object, okay, does work with all of this data which is there in the object. It gets access to all this, correct? And this particular function is also kind of encapsulated. Can you call this function directly like this? Will it work? Ha, see what it is working. Okay, so the print doesn't work outside. Why? Because so don't confuse, this is a print which is somehow working with Chrome. I think they have a built-in function called print. With that, it is giving me a print preview. Okay, so I'm saying you cannot extract this print outside. How do you have to call? So it's called encapsulation. Yeah, I always have to say person dot print if at all I have to print or execute that method which is inside. I'm telling you what's the difference between primitive and a method. Though it's a function, though it follows the exact syntax as function, it is called a method. I'm just telling you the difference when we compare against normal functions. All right. So with this understanding, let us see. So we have got methods. Methods we have got with respect to object, correct? We have seen only in we can only see the methods in case of an object. Yeah. So if it is part of an object, then only we call it method. Otherwise, we don't call it as a method. We say it as function. But here is a highly confusing word, methods of primitives. So primitives are what? A number, string, boolean. You got even symbol, that is also one. Undefined, null, they're all primitives. But then how those primitives which can actually hold a simple value. So for example, a number, let's say let num is equal to 1, 2, 3 or id is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. How can this particular primitive have a method? But today we are trying to understand that. Now how this primitive will have a method? Anybody has an idea? How this primitive, a simple primitive like whatever you create, yeah, it could be a string or any of those primitive, will have methods. But how? Yeah, that's an interesting concept we are trying to understand now. So you see how I'll be able to access this method. So now I have a number. I can say num dot toString. How did I get this? We say it's a primitive, and we said dot notation. It is there in object. We use dot notation to access objects properties actually. Object name dot property name. So here it's a method, so I'm invoking that method directly. Invoking, execution, calling, they're all same. Same way with like let's say string. I can do to uppercase. How string is actually able to do uppercase, which is a primitive. Yeah. So the very simple answer is a language. Yeah, the JavaScript language provides you, yeah, a wrapper types. What we call? We call them as wrapper types. So what it means? So if you remember earlier, we said we have one function called string, which can be used to convert anything into a string. Correct? We also seen that there is a function like number, which can be used to convert anything into a number. Remember? And same way boolean also. So these are actually called, these are the ones. So these are actually, the same functions can, they act also as a wrapper types for each of these primitives. For number we have number, for string type we have string, and for boolean type boolean. What did I say? They act as a wrapper type, which means what? So let me illustrate. Yeah, with a simple diagram telling you, okay, what exactly is that? Now I have created a variable called str and this holds some value. But then I'm able to call dot to uppercase on this. So the way this works, or the way primitive can use this method is, it actually, you know, wraps or creates, you know, an object which is of type this wrapper type. So this creates an object out of this. Earlier I showed you we can use those types for converting, but the same functions can also be used to create an object of that type, which means this creates an object. Yeah. So whenever we use a new keyword, I said it's a constructor. We are calling a constructor actually. It could be same thing with number also. New number, it actually returns me an object. Yeah. New number again, it is going to return me an object. New boolean is also going to return me an object. Fine. This is how an object gets created for each of the reference type. If I access string, then there will be one dynamically, there will be one object which gets created out of this wrapper type. And since this object, which is created out of string, has those methods, okay? So let's say str, okay? It is going to create an object with the same input as this JavaScript. You can imagine it like at runtime, it just creates. And then it is going to invoke this method called str.to uppercase on this. After that, this is method is going to give a result, correct? Yeah, this method is going to give a result, and that result we will anyhow return part of this method, or we store it. Yeah, let output is equal to string dot to uppercase. This is also done. Now what happens once that is done? This whole thing, the creation of this wrapper object and then execution, okay, and this object reference, everything will be destroyed. Just leaving the just leaving this primitive type, which is str is equal to JavaScript. So while accessing each and every method via the primitive, so this process happens behind the scene. That's how the language is designed. Why they are doing like that? Well, that's how it is defined. Otherwise, primitives will be of less use. If I don't have, or if I don't get to work with those primitives, and then, so like in Java, we are supposed to use an object for every time. For all the use case, I have to use. But in case of JavaScript, no, we don't use this object types. We mostly end up, using primitives only for, for number, string, boolean. We don't go for object types. But what is the point I'm saying? So each of these types, yeah, at least these, the basic ones, they have an equivalent method, or they have an equivalent wrapper type object which is available. And this, each of these have methods. Number has a lot of methods, string has a lot of methods, boolean has a lot of methods. And we can use them because JavaScript helps me, borrow that method. You can think of like borrowing that method which is there on this kind of reference type. Now today, if at all we are discussing, we are actually not discussing the primitive methods, but the ones which are actually on these wrapper types, but they are accessible from this primitive. That's why the name methods of primitives. Yeah, and in practice we use primitives only. We don't go for, we don't create the object type and then use a method. No, that is not in a practice. Okay, so with that, let's move on to understanding methods of number. We have seen how to create number type, and JavaScript is not a strict type language, so we don't even specify the type at the time of creation of a variable. So it is completely based on the value uh, we are actually going to have the type. The type is determined dynamically type language. If you store, though I name it whatever I want, and I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, but later if I put num is equal to JavaScript, then it will have string. Okay, so this is JS. So this is now if you say it's a type of num, you know, it will become string. Which string? It is telling primitive string. Yeah, so it's a primitive string. If it was capital S, then it is of type capital string, which is like a wrapper. Okay, so this is on what it is, but let's understand the number type basically. Okay, so this number type, yeah, has a lot of these methods called lot of the methods. I am just quickly listing the methods which are available so that you know, okay, what are the methods I'm actually talking about. So we have a method called toExponential, toFixed, toPrecision, toString. Yeah, these are the ones which we need to know. Yeah. Apart from that, we have also got some functions which are actually not on this type. Yeah. Example, we have a math object. You got absolute, cos, sin theta, tan theta, whatever trigonometric functions you have learned. Yes. So we have got some functions of that. And then we have got functions like floor, yeah, log, seal. So I have listed some of the ones which actually we can use. Seal, round, trunk, max, min. Max, min are very common. Round is also some to an extent. Seal and floor, I think you know that what it is. Yeah, I'll come back to that. Okay. And then you also know, we have studied in earlier classes that it's possible to convert numbers, and we know how to compare also. Yeah, fine. So let's understand a bit more detail into the methods which are there in number. So I may not be able to tell you all the methods which are there, but I'll summarize you what are the methods which are there, and then give you a syntax how to use them. Yeah, on top of that we also have to learn, yeah, so more methods as and when it's required. All right, so yeah, the first thing about numbers is the way numbers store in JavaScript. Yeah, uh, though it's a, whether it's a decimal number or a whole number, yeah, an integer, so it uses what is called as a 64-bit format, uh, and the standard or is actually, yeah, for storing that number is IEEE 754. Yeah, so it's a format, not the standard. The format that is using is 64-bit IEEE 754 format. As I said, yes, numeric have a lot of these methods. The first thing, yeah, converting to a string. So let's say you have a number, but you want to convert at times to a string. How do you do it? Yes, so we have a number 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say 2, 3, 4. And how do you convert? We can convert to string to string. Yeah, this is actually called explicit conversion. I've told you earlier, like data type conversion. If you have forgotten those concepts, yeah, find some time to revise these concepts. Yeah, this is called explicit conversion. I also told you, so let's say you are doing alert and then you are passing a number, there will be an implicit conversion which happens, and it will display it will display by converting into a string. In some use case, yeah, I'm printing the value, I want to concatenate and all that, then we'll need to convert. So that time we have a useful function like toString. But this toString, let me show you, and this you have to remember in the syntax. Let's say I just partially type the method. I did not complete it. It says there's a question mark and then radix. So what is the meaning of this question mark and radix? Anyone has an idea? Why question mark? What it means, if there is a question mark, it's an optional parameter. You need not pass it. So if I don't pass it, the radix value it is going to take is actually called as a decimal value. We saw default it is going to convert into a string, but then also it accepts what is called as a radix, and you see that the converted string is in the form of decimal only. But then this method as a radix, I can pass in 2 to say as a base, then it will convert me a binary representation of this number. Confusing, right? It is doing both a string conversion, at the same time it is also doing uh, the conversion of number into a different base. All I have to give is to tell the base while converting into a string. The same goes if I say hexadecimal I want out of this, then this is the hexadecimal value. So likewise, they're also saying like okay, it accept 36, and that's how I get a different value. So very useful method, though it looks like okay, I may not be able to convert to a string. See, if it is a normal string conversion, all this much is not required. See, I have a number. Okay, without using method, can you tell me how do I convert this into a string? I don't want to use any method. Can one of you tell me how do I convert this into a string?
Just to put it in that
Just put it
square brackets.
just put it in square bracket like this.
Yeah.
But this is becoming an array, na? This is not. No. The other method to convert a number into a string is you just add an empty space. Okay. This is the other way to convert a given number into a string. But this method, what we learned as a special feature wherein I can convert to a string. At the same time, it's also possible to convert that number into the base which I want. For example, okay, I'll show you how the useful is this method is. Yeah, let's take this output of what it was printing now. Okay, now let me take this as a number now. This whole thing is a number. I would like to convert this into a decimal value. And we don't have a function in JavaScript. We don't have a built-in function in JavaScript which can actually convert from different number system. Then this method will help. How? How? I can say 10. Yeah, sorry. I think I'm typing. Okay. No, this is not helping, isn't it? This is not helping. Okay. I think it is taking by default this as a decimal. No, I think I misunderstood. Yeah. Okay. So it is able to convert this into a target one, but I think the input it is considering it as considering it as purely a decimal number. Yeah. So this binary, I thought by passing this I can convert into a particular decimal or hexadecimal. No, that is wrong. Not happening like that. But at least it will help me convert a decimal into other format, which is useful. Fine. But then observe one important difference which I am doing here. What is the observation? Can you see the observation? You see, we have used the two dots here. Okay. If I put single dot, then it will consider it, it will think that as it's a decimal point. Number can have decimal points, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it will take this as a decimal point. So that is why if at all you are having a number with you directly in the hand, literally you have a number, at that time you want to invoke a method, you have to put an extra dot. This will throw an error. Okay, whereas another dot will actually give you output. I was also not using this syntax if I had directly number. Okay, I used to use another way. The other way I used to do is I used to wrap that into, let's say, like this, and then call the toString. This is one more way. Today only I came to know that okay, there is a two dot syntax which is there, which I can actually use to convert this into a number. Or meaning directly I can invoke method on a number value. Otherwise this I was familiar. I can put parenthesis around that number and then invoke a method. This is for any method, huh? It is not just for toString. Alright, so that's of uh, a bit of use, huh? Okay, so let's move on. So we have a big object called math object. What is it? Big object called math that we need to understand. I told you, and as soon as I put dot, I'll be able to list all the methods which are there. Okay, so ignore these methods which are below. Okay, so on every type, when I show you a dot, you will get a lot of methods after this define getter. For now, you can ignore these methods. I'll tell you what are those. Yeah, in bit later. I think when I'm talking about object. So let's see what is a floor. Anybody has an idea what does this floor method does? You would have seen the similar methods.
Point values will give round of
It removes all for floating values.
Are you sure?
It will
So
take
if you,
only number.
yeah, if you pass a floating number, a fractional number, yeah, let's say 10.5, it is rounding, correct? It's basically rounding. It is taking the a value which is like floor. Now 10 will be its floor value. Whereas if I give the other way around, if I say 10.4, sorry, but 10.6, that's a floor value. Whereas if I put 10, seal, it will take the next digit. 10.5 seal, next digit. 10.4 seal, next digit. So you know these values, yeah? I think these function names also very well. Floor will give you the previous value for a given fraction. Yeah, seal will give you the next value. What about round? If I say math dot round of 10.4, this round function is between like floor and seal. It will try to give me a whole number, yeah, with the fraction. So let's say if I put 10.4, then it will give me 10. If I say 10.5, it is rounding it to the next number. So anything which is above zero point 0.5 will be rounded to the next number. Anything below 10, below 5 is rounded to the previous number. Understood? So now you might be having a question. So, okay, how do I know about this method? So you told all these methods fine, but where do I see the syntax of each of this method? How do I understand the detail about each of this method? For that, the answer is MDN. MDN, math, okay. So let's say trunk. We have a method called truncate. Yeah, we have a method called truncate. Now, similar to this, so all these methods are there here. I just used trunk, yeah, because I'm not going to talk next that. But then you see all the methods, round is there, power is there, min is there, max is there. But here for each and every method they have given try it where you can actually run and see what is output. You see 13.37. Yeah, they're telling truncate. But what is the difference between seal, floor and round and truncate? So what they're saying, this will remove the fractional digits and just give you a whole number. So at many a times you might end up doing some expression, some calculation, you will get some weight or some length, but then that will have some fraction like this, zero point 0.3, zero point 0.4, zero point 0.5, whatever fraction. See the truncate method, what they're saying, it gives you a whole number by removing this fraction digits. What are its different syntax? It has only one syntax. It accepts some x. What is that x should be? X should be a number. Then what is its return value? Integer part of x. Okay, so let me understand more about it. We have got description. Do I have an example? Yes, we have examples. For all these different inputs, what is the output? They've given with all this example. And next, we have got specification. So now through this example, what I am trying to say, any method, if at all you have to understand, yeah, the very important thing is you have to see the syntax. So some of these methods will have multiple syntax, meaning which will accept only one parameter, which will not accept a parameter. It will have variants. I'll show you some of the methods which have variants. And important thing is, yeah, remembering all these different variants, parameters is also very important. And understanding each of those, what type of parameter, plus highly important is even the return value also. I've seen many people who learn JavaScript, they fail to do this actually. They fail to remember the return value. They will say, okay, this method, I'll say what is array.find will do. They'll say it will find. Well, then can you tell me what is the return value? If you don't know the return value, how will you use that method actually in your program? Or what is the purpose of using it? If you don't know the return value of it, then why will you use that method? Simply you will call and throw out the result, is it? No, don't do that mistake. Since I'm telling you all these methods, very important. Beat any method, you should know the return value also properly. And return value is not always fixed for some of the methods. It does vary. Yeah. First time it might give 0, for some other inputs it might give 1. So you should remember for each case by case. And about each of the method, yes, you have a very good description. There is a dedicated page which is created for each of this. Whenever you are stuck, whenever you are writing programs, whenever you need some ideas, that time you have to come to this page and read how does it work, why it is not giving me expected output. Okay, so yeah, don't forget to remember return value, parameter type, and the different syntax that particular method supports. So likewise, we have got max method, we have got a min method, we have also got a pow, which is to, like, you know, to get the power of a number. Yeah, so we can have a base and then the exponent, which is 3 here, 7 to the power of 3, then it will give me a value of 343. All right, so likewise you should, yeah, so returns nan in one of the following case. You already saw that. I think previously there was a method and it gave me nan when it was unable to give me the power. So that is all listed actually. So math.pow nan, why you're not given base and power? Okay, and at least I've not told what is base and power. So they're giving that explanation. Yeah. So they're saying that this is equivalent to there is a star star operator. If you remember the other day, I think we have discussed these operators. We have discussed arithmetic operators. I told you if you put 2 star that is equal to power. But for that there's an equivalent method also exists in math. Alright, so likewise we have so many methods and related to number, yes, math is a very big object and it supports a lot of methods. And each of those method you'll have to browse through and see which methods and all. If I have to cover each and method and the syntax, I think maybe one day is not enough. Yeah. So with that, let's understand numeric soft conversion. First of all, conversion we will understand. Yeah. Tell me, if I have a boolean value, if I have a string value, how do I convert to a number? I'm asking you because we have already discussed this topic a bit. What are the ways to convert? Yeah, other types, basically string, yeah, and then a boolean type into number. Remember, you discussed? Do you see a chapter called 2.7 type conversion? In that we had a discussion that okay, so we'll understand string conversion, we'll understand numeric conversion and boolean conversion. Yeah, and we saw a table also. Yeah, now I'm asking you question on this. What are the ways to convert, yeah, a primitive into a number? Yes, all of you are silent actually. If you are silent, I also can be silent actually. I can also go silent for some time.
Sir, by using number method to number.
Two number, there's a method.
Yes.
There's a method called two number. Okay. What are the other
Not
way?
not to number, normal with
Yeah.
capital A.
Yeah, basically using this function, I can pass in whatever value I want to do. You see, the browser is remembering. This all we have tried. Yeah, all this we have tried long back. Yes, this is one of the method. What is other method? The other method is simply to use this unary plus operator. Do you remember? I've told this also.
Yes, sir.
Can use a unary plus operator. But now, what is the problem with this numeric method? Let me show you. Let's say I have an A. See what happens now? It gives that this is a not a number. It is failing to convert into a number. So the same goes with plus also. So these two are actually called strict. They don't do they don't try to extract it. They'll say you cannot convert, no cannot convert. But then JavaScript has other methods which are soft extraction methods which is called parseInt and also another method called parsefloat. So now let's see if I pass the same value. Okay, if I pass the same value to this method, can you guess what is the output? And radix is optional. Okay, parseInt radix is optional. Ah, I think now I got a solution to the previous question. Okay, I'll come back to that. You see what is the output? You got output. With numeric, you are having NaN. This is why the reason called, you know, a soft conversion. But this function, this soft conversion using parseInt, will not be able to extract a decimal point. Let's say I have 0.34. It still gives me a whole number. So that is the reason we'll use what is called as parse float if we want even decimal points. That's the only difference between int and float. Okay, so these two are the soft conversion methods. Now these two methods, okay, in a recent addition, so you see how I used parseInt. I directly use this method parseInt, correct? I also directly used parsefloat, but this method now they also exist on what is called as this number. Yeah, so on this they these methods exist, the both parseInt and parsefloat. So we can use either this syntax or even this syntax, but it is actually preferred to use this modern syntax using number. Okay, I think we will read a bit about it. I think there is one small difference when I use parse float versus normal parse float without number. But just to tell you, these two methods can be used for soft conversion or extracting a number from a given value. All right. Are there any other syntax? See, there are, at the time of using this or learning this method, we won't understand, or it takes really lot of practice to understand, okay, this method also has this syntax. Few minutes ago, I told you we have an option to convert a number into what? You can put some radix into a decimal. Now tell me, how do I convert this into a, a decimal value? Now binary into decimal value. So I was not finding an answer in the toString, but now I got an answer which is like I can use parseInt now. See, parseInt takes string. So this is anyhow giving me this binary string. So if I just enter, then I'll get as it is. So what is the difference? Just taking a number. But then see that this also talks about radix. You see, now I'm passing radix. I'm saying this is what? A decimal value. Sorry, a binary value. Now with parseInt, I'm able to convert that binary value into a number which is of decimal value. So the conversion happened now. So what I'm trying to show, indirectly we have an option, though it doesn't look like directly for you, to convert one type of number into other type of number system. Now just like I told you for this, so again if I go for parseInt and see what is it, yeah, so you will find a very good detailed documentation on like, okay, what are these parameter. Now this is what I was telling you, variant of, you know some of the methods will have a variant. It's not like, okay, only there is only one syntax. Radix, regarding radix they have given one big paragraph telling you what it is. And return value, yeah, so it will be returning string. If unable to return, then it will give me an n, which is nothing but not a number. Yeah, clear what I'm asking? Okay, so these are numeric methods. So just give me a minute. What I was saying. So we were just discussing parse int, parse float. I was telling you the different variations of parse int, parse float, and why we have those methods. Okay. Another thing is comparison. Yeah. So for comparing, yeah. So there is one interesting case. We know what is NaN, correct? Math.floor or math.round or even parse int. If it unable to convert, it was giving NaN. Now programmatically, how do I check that return value is NaN or not? Sometimes I have to write a condition to check that. For example, user have asked enter your age. What if he has given, you know, an empty string? Or what if he has given, when which is a value which is not a number? For user, what did I ask? Yeah. So I asked a prompt enter your age. And he might enter anything, correct? He need not be that okay, he'll put a number only. But you will be getting a requirement, or you are supposed to do, to make sure that what if this guy is some hacker, he wants to do something. Yeah, he's trying to play with our application. He may not be the real user. The real user also might trying to see if how to break this application. So in this case, what if you put some simply space? Because you asked, it's mandatory. Okay, so you will end up entering age as this value. Or if you put simply a space, then it becomes space. Now, if at all you have to extract number out of this, how will you do? You will end up putting any n. But what if you have some logic which is written after this? If it is a number, you are planning to add maybe one more year, or you might be planning to add some other additional thing. See, all that goes wrong. Now, if this is a case, how do I check a given value is any n or not? Yeah. So let's see if I can compare with NaN. Yeah. Let's see if I can compare NaN with NaN. Guess what is the result? False. How about this one? That's also false. Then how do I check if the given value is not a number or not? Or given number is valid number or not? For that, yeah, we end up using this function called isNaN. IsNaN of parse int. So we are just chaining a lot of the methods. So now I get it is not a number. If it is not a number, then I can throw an error. Or I can handle accordingly. I don't end up doing all the logic plus 1 minus 1 multiply. I don't have to do all that, correct? And then my program will break because first of all your user has not given valid input. Same way we have got a method called isFinite to check if the given number is between this plus infinity and minus infinity. JavaScript has this big constants called infinity and also minus infinity. Where do you get infinity? If you all studied maths, let's say for some calculations, yeah, like 1 by 0, 0 by 0 is NaN, okay. 0 by 0 is NaN, yeah. So any operation with respect to this infinity is also infinity, right? So yeah, this is represented using the standard constant which name is infinity. So to check, you know, if the value is finite, yeah, it is not infinity value. So we can make use of this method called is finite. Okay, I can pass this infinity or I can pass any number basically. How do I know what is its input? Here the console itself will give me a lot of input. The parameter is a number. You pass a number to this and then you see the return value. You pass in 10, it's finite. Then it is giving me true. Okay. So likewise, we have, I mean, we definitely deal with numbers. Yeah. In real world, we end up using a lot of numbers. So then for sure, we need all these methods, correct? We need to convert into a different ways. We need to understand whether it's a max or min number. We need to understand, yeah, so which is a max between 4 and 5. We need to make a power or exponential value. We need to round the digits. We need to truncate. So a lot of this is a common operation if at all you are dealing with numbers, and numbers are again very common in our day to day. So that is why it is important to know these set of methods, because based on the use case you can use one of these or many of these. I have listed few of the common methods. There might be there methods which are also there apart from this list, which I have now listed. Yeah. So again, the best thing is the Mozilla developer, you know, network, the MDN book. This will be, or this should be your ultimate reference for all the JavaScript methods. See when they are documenting it. So they are documenting web technologies, including these and JavaScript from 2005, from last 20 years, not last year. Okay, last 20 years they have been documenting about all these technologies. All right, so let's move on. So there is one last thing which I think you all have to understand. In the very first line when I discussed, I said JavaScript stores number in 64-bit format. Okay, so now what is the meaning of this? Meaning every number you put, yeah, like you use a variable num and then you put some value, it does store in binary. If you know, yeah, computer deal with all the data in binary, be it number, string, anything. So they all get at the end converted to a binary. But specifically numbers, 64-bit, this format IEEE 754 is what is used. Now before telling the concept, can you tell me what is 1 by 3 or 1 by 10? Yeah, okay, 1 by 10 is still fine, but 1 by 3 is 0.333333. You don't know where that 3 will end, but then what we generally do? See, we generally round it off, or what we call it as precision, based on the number. Yeah, precision strength. For example, in Java and all, you have double and you have float, two different types. Float will have a lesser precision compared to double. Yeah, in C also you have the same concept. So wherever we have less precision, we'll end up losing the value. We'll end up losing the value. Now the same thing happens in JavaScript also. We don't have different formats like double and all that. So whenever we are working with especially these fractions, something like 0.1 plus 0.2, see what happens? Do you expect this result anywhere? But see, it end up, you know, it end up adding like this, and then because of precision loss, we won't be able to store exact value. And that's why even the calculation, like, okay, let's say zero point 0.1 plus zero point 0.2 is equal to zero point 0.3. If I'm trying to compare, the answer will be false. Yeah. So you should be aware of this, specifically when you're working with fractional digits like this or fractional calculation like this. Why? Because of losing of precision. Yeah. When we, when we have less precision, or when we are not store be able to store a lengthy value. So basically, you lose the precision while storing, specifically in this format, the 64-bit format IEEE 754. That's why some of these will happen. Yeah, you should be aware of this. Okay, so with this, I think I've covered what are numeric methods and relay methods related to the numbers. So what is next? You've got string related methods. So we already studied a bit about strings. What are the different types of way to create strings in JavaScript? Yes, no?
Single and double. Using double.
So, yes, these are the classic ways of creating strings in JavaScript, and these two are both one and the same. There is no difference between single quote and double quote. You can use either of them, both of them will work. I'm saying no difference at all. Wherever you want to use double quote, there you can use single quote also. In JavaScript, it is that simple. But then, the latest addition to this syntax is also called as template literal syntax, and this is actually written by putting two backticks. What is the syntax is called? This is called template literal string. Yeah, so you can write a normal string only, but then if at all you have some expression or you have some substitutions in the form of variable, or you need to write some expression like this, yeah, so you want to write something, so you can use this template literal syntax. Okay, so I can even invoke a method within this substitution. So this is what is the templating part. This can come as a variable. This can be a variable part. This is a fixed part. Now the benefit of this template literal is, let's say if I have to create something like this exactly using the normal one, normal single quote, then it is difficult. I have to write this, then put a plus, then put 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3, it will not be added to 5 because we know that plus operator with string will join actually. Correct? You know that if I do a string along with the plus, we'll end up 2 plus 3 into 23, right? I mean, just to show an example, okay, how cool is template literal syntax and what it is solving. Now, but the strings have set of properties and also methods. You see the list? Yeah, I'm just trying to scroll. It's a very big list. Ideally, you should be knowing all of these methods, or most of it. 80% of the methods you should be knowing. Not everything is used, huh? But then that's why I'm saying 80% of the methods, be it number, string, boolean, object, arrays, you should be knowing, or you will end up knowing actually, because otherwise you cannot fulfill all the use cases. But before we dive into methods, yes, we have even got properties like length. What is it? You got a properties like length. This will give me how many characters are there in a string. We also know that strings have indexes. So you can access each of them like using an array bracket notation. What I can use? You can use array bracket notation. String index starts with 0. The last index would be string dot length minus 1, which will give me the last index of that string. Right? With this understanding, let's move on to see the methods. So the common methods are, okay, so the ones which I've listed, you can convert into. So I just type 2. You see, now it will list all the methods which are 2, which are actually for transformation. Whether you want to lowercase, whether you want to convert into a string, whether you want 2 uppercase, yeah, 2 well formed, 2 local string, yeah. So likewise, we have got each of those methods, and so we heavily use lowercase, uppercase, yeah. 2 local string, not used much, okay. Even the other one, huh? But I think if again same answer, if at all we want to use or we need that method, we can ask for MDN. What exactly is this method and the syntax of it? Okay. So yeah, if you would like to know these methods, the ones which are like other than lowercase and uppercase, yeah, even toString is to convert into a string. So yeah, we'll study on that. Or I mean, I'm saying you go through that. Now let's understand some more methods. So what are those methods? Yes, so recently there is a method called AT. Yeah, AT method is there. Now I am getting it. You see, now I'll say 1, AT1. So I'm going to get E. Now tell me, how do I print this last T? How I can print this last?
-1.
Yeah, with this method I can put -1.
80 minus.
Yes, because of this method. Otherwise I should have written the previous syntax. What I wrote like string length -1, like this I have to write. Yeah. Also, this method will help me, read the strings from the other end. 80 minus 2 also will work. At basically this we can use for traversing. 0 also works. It's not like okay, I have to use only minus value. If you do 0, then it will positive, yeah, 0 1. So it's a method, not directly accessing a string. It is a method. On top of this, yeah, so we got index of method, which will check what. So it is going to check whether a particular string is there or not. Okay, what is the return value? This is very important. You know how to use this method, but we will forget to remember this value. What is the meaning of 0 now? What happens if the given string is not there in the string where I'm searching actually. Index of is basically used for searching, as you saw. Yeah, searching the given search input is part of the string or not. And it has got one parameter called position. So what is the meaning of this position? Anybody know what is the position? You all know this method, some of you. What happens if I give position, or what is the meaning of position here? Even Gagan?
If the element is present in that position or not, we can check using index of that
So
position.
if I know already a position of that string, why do I go for searching again? I think you got
If
my
it is
question.
present,
Yeah, that's what. If it is present, I don't have to use a method. I can directly check. I can put string of that position.
in order to get index of that position, which index it is
Index
present.
and position both are same, na? I
Mm.
have to represent it using number. I think you're very close. But then here I am trying to check from a custom position actually. I don't want to check from beginning. See, it is working because I am starting searching from beginning. What if I search say after fifth, after third, fourth position I want to search this string. After this index I would like to search, not the beginning one. I don't want which is there in the starting. See, since it is starting, that's why I am getting the output. If I start giving even one, it will say -1. So the position is telling from which position onwards I should start searching instead of beginning. And if it cannot search, then it will give me -1. If it is searching, if it is able to search, what will the value I am going to get? The starting position of it. So now since the test in a string test is in the first position or the 0th position, that's why we got 0. Otherwise this will be a number. Yeah. Worst case, if it cannot find, then it will give me -1. And it's possible to pass position also to start searching after a certain position. So recently there was also an addition to this method or similar to this, which is called last index of, which means this. So can you tell me what is the difference of index of and last index of, and how does it differ with the, you know, see again the position. They are also having a position. So it will give me, yeah, not the first index. It will start, you can think of like it will start searching from the end, not from the beginning. By default, it will give me the one which is at the end. Yeah. So string index of or checking related to index. You see, index of is there, last index also is there. And let's say now you are programming, but you only know the partial. Yeah, you don't know fully all the things. Let's say index you type. See, it gives you there are two methods related to index. Then you will explore. Okay, there is last index of. No, don't end up simply typing. Okay, whatever you know. No, you make use of this auto suggestion. Make use of this completion. You don't have to even full type the full method. Yeah, let's say of. You see, you got index of, value of, last index of, is prototype of. Now try to see which of this method fits into your use case. You might be knowing now index of, you don't know value of. Okay, now you know the last index of. Maybe now you will be aware, okay, there is a value of, okay, there is something like that. Next time when these two are not working, let me check if value of is doing something. So this is how you should learn actually all the methods or explore all the methods. Yes, so as I told you, string as method is a very big. Let's say I want a character at 0 caret. I want to print ASCII code. Okay, I want character code at 0. This is giving me ASCII value of t. First one is just giving me character at 0, almost same as at. Yeah, you see what it is giving. Then the second one, it is giving me the character code. So there will be program. Okay, they'll say convert this into uppercase. Yeah, convert a given string into uppercase without using the built-in method. Then you'll have to work with some of these methods like this. You know what I'm saying? Now this is caret, character code at. Let's see how many at methods are there. Concat, repeat, match. So next we have basic methods like, yeah, I think I'll have to include caret, yeah, string caret. Then you got same string dot char code at. We saw there's a method called at. We saw a method last index of. And then string here, comma, position. Okay, so next we have a method which is called split method. How many of you know this method? What is the purpose of split? Rajesh, have you used split method or not?
Convert string into array.
Convert string into an array. So what should I pass? So will it convert into an array?
We single quotes, double quotes.
Not single quote, double quote. You should pass as delimiter, separator.
Yes, separator.
If I put separator as empty space, see what happens. If I put, I don't want
Yes,
space, I want comma, then you see what happens. I want E is a separator. Many times for email, we say check whether it is email is valid or not. Separate out the emails. Correct? The first part, .com part. I want to split at. So then this method will help actually. Now starting with yes, there are a lot of methods. Search, slice. Not sure what is small. Huh? Never used only. See what is this method doing? Yeah, you might be knowing what is this method doing. Oh, interesting. They have got a method for italics also. Yeah. So more importantly, there are methods starting with yes. So search will check whether the given string is there or not. Yeah. Search regular expression. Yeah, it's saying you have to pass a regular expression. So regular expression has a special syntax. Okay. This regular expression has a special syntax. To that you have to pass a regular expression and yeah, that's how it will tell whether it is found or not. Just like index of only, somewhat like index of. Yeah, somewhat like index of. There are, in string there are a lot of methods which are like very close. Huh? They almost work like same. For example, substring, string, substr. There is a method called substr. So now what did we saw? We saw a method which is called a search. Yeah, search method. See, this is where we pass in a regular expression. But then as what is the syntax is? The index of the first match. If nothing matched, then -1. And how do I write this regular expression? See, we got some examples. Replace method. This is almost like substitution. Somewhere 80 is there, I don't want 80, I want something else. Somewhere B is there, I don't want B, I want to put A, then something else. This is replace. Easily the method replace all. You can guess what is replace all. Now replace all the occurrences of given thing with a different value. Replace will only do the first occurrence or one instance of it. Replace all will do the other instance of it. Again, it will say whether a string is starting with something. Whether string starts with Saturday SAT or string ends with. There is a method called even ends with actually. Similar to end starts with ends with. So now you take it like this. Okay. So there is a trim method called trim. So we have space on either side of the string that can be used for trimming. So that it will give me a whole string without spaces. Without space on either side. So I'm showing you this big list here. Now what I'll suggest is you will have to start working on problems, start you know writing or solving the questions actually. There you will have to find which of these methods will help. You'll have to find. That's the only way to you can actually remember. Now even if I tell you all these methods, sit and tell you all the syntax, you will forget. Very easy to forget. Okay. So with that, what I'm trying to say, yeah, I'll pass on questions to you guys. So with that, try to solve more questions on number and string. Then that is a way to learn or know the different methods which are there. Okay, so with this, I think I'll stop here. Yeah, so more or less we have covered the numeric methods, string methods, and I've told you what is methods of primitives and all. So next we'll understand some reference types like arrays and their methods, object and methods. So as I told you, I'll go bit fast. Yeah, you can consider fast, slow, but we'll have to do. Yeah, so otherwise this will become a lengthy course. And I'm not missing. I'm telling you. So there is more effort required from your side because when we have too many things. But let's come for a discussion if you have not understood some methods and try to learn these methods and the questions that we solve. All right. So any questions related to the string methods?